Hey guys! Today, we're looking at the Am I the A-hole subreddit. What's the worst thing a boyfriend's mum has ever said to you? Well, I bet it doesn't even come close to what OP's dealing with. Am I the a-hole for wanting to call off my wedding because my fiance's stepmother keeps insisting we're siblings? So, I, 23 female, am engaged to my fiance, Daniel, 24 male. He's the son of a very wealthy businessman, and to be honest, I come from a much more humble background. We met a few years ago at a mutual friend's party and hit it off immediately. We have a ton in common, same sense of humour, similar values. We're both super family orientated and have the same weird taste in music. We even share similar quirks and habits that make us seem like we've known each other forever. Basically, we just click. Here's where the problem starts. Daniel's father remarried a few years ago to a woman named Valerie. She's in her mid-40s, and, well, let's just say, she's not the nicest person. She's always been kind of cold to me, but I didn't think much of it. A little passive-aggressive here and there, but nothing crazy. However, over the last few months, things have started getting out of hand. Valerie started making these strange comments, usually when we're alone or in private settings. She has started implying that Daniel and I are too close to be fiancés. The first time she said it, I laughed it off, thinking it was some kind of weird joke. But then it kept happening. She started pushing the idea that Daniel and I are not just fiancé and fiancée, but rather brother and sister, in some kind of spiritual or emotional sense. She kept saying things like, "It's just like the way real siblings can talk for hours and hours about nothing," or "You two look so much alike, I'm surprised you haven't figured out you're actually related." I thought she was just being bizarre, but it kept escalating. At one point, she showed up to one of our family gatherings with this family tree thing that supposedly proves that Daniel and I could be distant cousins. The family laughed it off, but the whole thing left me feeling unsettled. I'm not sure why she's so obsessed with this narrative, but she even started calling us the twins in front of other people, which made me feel super uncomfortable. I've talked to Daniel about it a few times, and he says I'm overthinking it, that Valerie is just trying to get under my skin. But at this point, I'm not so sure. I feel like Valerie is intentionally trying to paint us as siblings to make me uncomfortable and to undermine our relationship. It's really starting to mess with my head. We're supposed to get married in a few months, but now I'm seriously considering calling it off. I don't know if I can marry into a family that has this kind of weird toxic dynamic. I don't want to feel like part of this twisted narrative that's being forced on us. Daniel says I'm letting Valerie win by even thinking about this, but it's messing with my head so much that I don't know if I can go through with it. So, am I the a-hole for thinking about calling off the wedding because of Valerie's insistence that Daniel and I are siblings? Should I brush it off like Daniel wants? Or is this a sign that something deeper is wrong here? Edit, just to clarify, we're definitely not siblings, or related in any way, shape or form. Valerie has no evidence or reason to believe this. It's all just her weird fixation. Also, Daniel and I are both adamant about not being related in any way. We've been to family gatherings, and no one in the family has mentioned this before. Valerie is definitely the only one who keeps pushing this narrative. Edit. For those who are saying that I shouldn't let this ruin my marriage, something that I forgot to add in this post was that she brings this up constantly. In family group chats, social situations, even in front of children in this family. In public, when she brings this up, me and my fiance get weird looks. And even the children in the family have started asking if Daniel and I are actually brother and sister. And to have to explain to a child that it's just the family's sense of humour just doesn't cut it. I've tried avoiding her, but Daniel's father claims it's me being sensitive and cruel. But I've actually lost sleep over this. Daniel told me a few days ago to just ignore it. It's just a funny joke. But when you become the butt of the joke, it's not funny anymore. His mother-in-law even met my family and questioned them about whether they had any distant family when we were looking at my wedding dresses. And to me, that's where it went too far. I love my fiancé with every fibre of my being, but he isn't defending me at all. Even when I tell them that suggesting that we could be in a incestuous relationship makes me uncomfortable. I feel completely alone on this, and I don't want to think about ruining our soon-to-be marriage, but I have to consider it. Will I ultimately choose that? No. But I don't know if I want to be with someone who completely undermines my feelings for the sake of his mother-in-law, who ultimately doesn't have his nor my best interests at heart. Edit. A lot of you have a point. I don't think my fiancé is a red flag though. I'm assuming this is just how he and his family joke with each other, and since I'm not really the joking type, maybe I just don't understand it. I've tried cutting off mother-in-law, but my fiancé and his father convinced me not to, so it feels like I simply can't win in this situation. I texted my fiancé about this post and the comments, and he told me if I bring it up again, he'll just remove me from the family group chat entirely. I feel as though he's mad at me, which maybe I overreacted, but I'm not really the confrontational type and he knows that, and it's his family. I'm his soon-to-be wife and he should be understanding of that, and of my boundaries, but he shuts me down each time, and I kind of feel like the a-hole now for making such a big deal about it. He wants me to apologise to his family for the sake of peace, and to just go along with it in the name of good fun. But doing that makes me feel like I'm pushing aside my own feelings for some weird joke mother-in-law made. Should I apologise or should I stand my ground? It feels like the latter to me. Why should you be made uncomfortable for someone else's fun? That's literally how bullying works. I really like this suggestion down in the comments. Confident Baker says, whenever she starts talking like this, look really uncomfortable. Look away and then loudly say, Valerie, I've asked you repeatedly to not talk to me about your incest fetish. It makes me and everyone else really uncomfortable. And then walk away really quickly while looking behind you to make sure she isn't following you. She'll look like a psycho no matter what she does or says after that. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend I have every right to defend my home after someone started kicking my door in? Post by Fallen Wraith. I, 27 male, and my girlfriend, 26 female, have been together for about 2 years. I'm a black man raised in the inner city, and she's a white girl from the suburbs. We grew up different, and normally that's okay. But last week, someone tried to break into my house, and it started causing problems. I'm taking care of my mother now that she's getting up there in age. She just had surgery on her legs and cannot walk. I need to stress this. She physically cannot support herself, so I'm doing everything for her. Her bedroom is in the back of the house, right next to the back door that leads to the porch. At 2 AM last Wednesday, my mother calls me scared, saying someone's trying to break into the house, and she can hear them banging on the back door. My girlfriend was staying with me in my bedroom when I got the call. I jumped up, grabbed my gun, and ran to the back and started yelling for whoever was out there to get away, because they were still banging on the door when I got there. Things got quiet, so I checked the camera on the porch, and I saw them standing there. It was 3 people, and one of them said to keep going. It doesn't matter. So I used the speaker on my camera to say, I have a weapon, it's loaded, and if you kick that door one more time, I will shoot. My girlfriend is behind me at that point, screaming not to shoot them and that it isn't worth it. The 3 people on the porch don't move, so I put my phone down, cock my weapon, and say, I'm going to count to 3, and if you're not gone by the time I get to 3, I'm firing. As soon as I counted 1, they ran away. My girlfriend was screaming at me that there's never a reason to threaten to shoot someone, ever! I told her that we're not having this conversation right now, and that we need to call the police. Yes, I should have done that earlier, but I was just too worried about my mother to think about it. The police get called. They come out and see shoe prints on my fence, and on the back door from where they were kicking, and start paroling the area, but don't find them. When the police leave, my girlfriend starts yelling at me and saying she can't believe that I'd be willing to shoot someone just because they kicked my door. I told her that it isn't about the house. It's about the fact that my mother is lying helpless in bed just a few feet away from the door, and they could have done anything. Stole things, killed her, raped her, a combination? I have no idea, and I wasn't taking any chances. She says that there's never a reason to hurt or kill someone ever, because violence isn't the answer. It just makes you like the person you're hurting. I told her that the only reason she thinks violence isn't the answer is because she's never had someone try to physically harm her before. And I'm not apologizing for what I did because I had every right to defend myself, my home, my mother, and her. She's been angry with me ever since and will barely even speak to me. I'm trying to consider her perspective, I really am, but I'm not going to give up my ability to defend myself just because she doesn't believe violence will ever be necessary. Am I the a-hole? I just want to point out that you actually stopped the violence with the threat of violence. If you'd done things her way, there would have been actual violence. I'd ask her what she thinks is worse, actual violence or the threat of violence. Violence is sometimes 100% the answer, if it de-escalates the situation. Your girlfriend is wrong, it doesn't make you the same as them. They chose to be there and initiate a fight. You chose to defend yourself and your family. Those things are completely different. They had the ability to stop violence from happening by just leaving. You didn't, because if you chose to do nothing or leave, violence still would have happened, but to your mum. They were the ones choosing violence, not you. See you next time.